Good morning, good morning. Yochanan, can you hear me? Parrots, can you hear me?
Rabbi, we hear you nice and clear. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Baruch Hashem Yom Yom.
Okay, this is a very special week and a very powerful week, the week of Gimel Tammuz. And Mitzvah Shem, tonight we're going to learn a Sikha, and we'll have a Fabrengen, and then we're traveling together to the Tzion HaKodesh, to the oil. The Eibusha should help that all the Brochos, everything that you would like to ask for, and even the things that you forgot to ask, that the Eibusha should give us all those Brochos in its fullest. Huh? David, okay, good. And the ikid is that we should be zocher ready to have the Bias Mashiach Tzedkenu.
Amen.
Okay. Parrots, you here? Okay, let's start.
Yes.
So someone asked the Shaila about what will be first of all, in general, now that Baruch Hashem, the Olam is coming out from this from the situation with the coronavirus and the Eibusha's Al-Halfen Taka, that it's over and we're coming out of it, and there's no chas v'shalom thoughts of a second wave or anything like that, that the worst is behind us and it's over, and it's only a question of a little extra protection that everyone is careful with, and then that's it, it's behind us. Definitely we don't want to go back to the old norms, to social norms and to all the other norms that were before. All we want is a totally new norm. First of all, Beruchnius, that Yidden had an unbelievable Yisodus and Limud Torah. We want this to continue. Yidden had an unbelievable thirst to daven in a shul and to give respect to the shul and the davening, and hopefully coming back to shul will be a totally new attitude to how we treat the Kedusha of the shul. And in general, there's we see that and this requires a larger discussion. We see some terrific things that took place, Avos Yisrael, that took place in the past 3 months, that hopefully will continue. We don't go back to social norms. And the same thing of how we treat Simchas. Look at the Goyim. Everything was placed on hold. Everything was placed on hold. No weddings. No, the Yidden made weddings. And it was so besimcha, you don't have to have 50K, you don't have to spend 40K, you don't have to spend 10. People were making backyard weddings. It didn't cost more than the bottle of wine and the glass that was broken under the chosen's heel. Unbelievable. If anyone can still help me, we could find a shidduch for our daughter. We could still make a corona chasana and make a chasana in the backyard. Halavai. But it doesn't have to go back to social norms. We don't have to go back to making expensive chasanas, halavai. That this will be the new norm. That gashmias, materialism, is less important than spirituality is more important. And this should be the new norm, not going back to the old norm. And the main thing is we don't want to go back to the old norm of being in Golus, in the regular grind of Golus. We want to go back to a totally new reality. Bevias Mashiach Tzedkenu, the Eibusha's Al-Halfen, this week, which has the Korach of Gimel Tammuz, Shem Yud Kei Vavke 26th Gimel Tammuz, that should daloi Golus, enough of the Golus, and we should not go back to social norms. But as we come out of this virus, the world is cleansed and should be taking us into a totally new reality. Bevias Mashiach Tzedkenu. L'chaim. Okay, Sasson, you here? Sasson?
Yeah, I hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so 3 questions. Number 1, someone asked about Hagomel. So people that had the virus, didn't have the virus, who makes Hagomel? Does everyone have to make Hagomel? Because this world was ravaged with this deadly virus. Does anybody have to say Hagomel? Who says Hagomel? Who doesn't say Hagomel? So I'd like to deal with that question first. This Shabbos specifically, someone came over to ask me because he actually my neighbor, and I saw the commotion in the middle of the night. He passed out for a moment, and his wife panicked, and they called the police. And Baruch Hashem, he opened his eyes, and it was good. So does he say Hagomel? He asked if he should say Hagomel. He wanted to buy an aliyah and to say Hagomel. He also had a little bit of a back problem, and for 2 weeks he was just about walking, and then Baruch Hashem he straightened out in the past few days. So he wanted to know, could he buy an aliyah and say Hagomel b'shem Malchus? Okay, so this question is asked Shabbos Lamaisa. Many people are also going to ask this question as we're coming out of the coronavirus about making Hagomel. I about a month ago, I don't know how I got this email, 10 pages. This person has Yaakov Shlomo Mosesen. I have no idea who it is. A whole chart. If you're under 35, you're over 35, between 35 and 40, between 40 and 60, from 60 and above, have mild symptoms, strong symptoms. Did you have a ventilator, not have a ventilator? Ooh, whoa, whoa, you can make a big chart and get very confusing. So I would like to make to perhaps present what the story is and try to bring some clarity to the sugya. The Gemara says, the 4 people that have to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom when they go through a story of a danger. This is a Gemara that we once learned, and that's the Halacha Shulchan Aruch Simareishu Tes Noira Chaim. Who are the Baal Shem Tov also made that the Takona, based on this, that we say the kapitel Kuf Zayin and Tehillim as we start the Mincha Shabbos. So we came out of a tumultuous week, and therefore we say the kapitel which teaches us to the 4 people that have to thank the Eibishter. This is the Gemara in Daf Nun Dalad and Beis. Amr B'Udam Arab Arba Tzrichim L'Hoydis. There are 4 people that have to thank the Eibishter. Yord Ayam Hoilchem Mit Boris Misha Achayla B'Nesrapa Misha Chavish Reveis Asurim. 4 people have to thank the Eibishter. People are going out of the ocean. They traveled over the ocean. People traveled over the desert. People that were a person that was sick and he was healed. A person that was in jail and he was released. And they go through all the psukim Tehillim and Simon Kuf Zayin. Yorda Yom Bionis, Hema Yorda Ma'is Hashem, and so on. And Holchem Mit Boris, it says Toba Midbar B'Yishimin, Derech Moshe Matzo, so on and so forth. Misha Chavish Reveis Asurim, it says Yoshech Yoshev Salamovitz, Kimru Keil, and so on. Yoidel Hashem Chazdai, and they say Yoidel Hashem Chazdai. So Gemara Ma'amevorach, what's the bracha they make? Amr Buddha. The bottom line is the gis, and according to the Alter Rebbe, is Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Hagomel Chayavim Tov V'Shekmalani Tov. The reason why the Alter Rebbe picked this nusach from the Rishonim, which why he felt that this was the right one, we once gave a sheet about that. Okay, and let's leave it at this. And there's a little more in the Gemara that will be relevant to another question, and perhaps we'll pick it up next week. Okay. So now there are 4 people that have to say this Haidah. So now there's a machloikis between, the Tosfos brings right away there on the spot, and the Tur brings it in the Reishu test. There's a machloikis between basically the Chachmei Sfora and the Chachmei Ashkenaz. The mamish, it like runs through it's like party lines. Mamish like party lines. If you look at the end of the Reishu test in the Tur, it says Noige ba'Ashkenaz u'betzorfa Hashem avorchim k'sholchem me'ir le'ir shleichai v'ele b'holchem et borius t'shkichi v'bahu chayes roz v'list. In Ashkenaz, the minhag is that when they go on a road, it's only on a road where there is vicious animals, there's thieves, there's armed thieves there on the road, and it's dangerous. Yerushalmi says that any road is b'cheska sakana. So any road you have to say a bracha. Yerushalmi was talking about something else. That they were talking about tfilas haderech. Any road you have to say tfilas haderech. But the bichas hagoyim is in the place of the korban toida. Same thing about choila. It has to be a choila that fell into the bed. If he just has a pain, he doesn't have to make a bracha again. Has to be a makam sakana. Well, a Rambam, or according to another case, the Ramban kosa Any road, any sickness, you have to thank the Eibishter. In the Yerushalmi, Korach aloim v'cheskes sakona, kol adrochim v'cheskes sakona. V'chinkos ba'orach, afila chosh be'ena v'beroshoi, any pain in his eye, in his head, tzarech levarach, v'chein nogim b'sforet, that's the minig in Sforet. And that's the way it comes down to Shulchan Aruch. It's a machloikis, Ashkenazim and Sfardim. That's the way it comes down, bottom line, in Shulchan Aruch. That with the Ashkenaz and Tzorfas, as in Shulchan Aruch and Zimmer Esher Tesiv Zayin, the bracha is only when they go in a dangerous place, B'holchim et Borius. The Sfarad is Kol HaDorachim B'cheskes Sakona. And the same thing B'chayli. That the Shulchan Aruch says, B'chol Chayli tzarech levarach. Eine Chayli shel Sakona, v'loi makar shel Kol HaSho'ala l'mita v'yored. If he ended up in bed, sick, and then in Baruch Hashem he got out of bed, we say it's similar to a person that went up like he went up on the stage where the judges sit, and therefore now he was healthy, he makes the bracha. And then Amor for the Ashkenazim says no, it only has to be a chayil sheyesh b'sakona to go makar shel cholol. That's the minig in Ashkenaz. So first, before I move on, a very important thing. What is talking, and this will be important to understand, to decipher the mice of what we do. What is the argument here? So there's a one-liner here. That Ashkenazim said, the Chachmei Ashkenaz said, that the Birchas Hagomel is in the place of a Korban Toida. True, in Kapitel Tehillim it says, "V'yizbuchu zivchei toida v'yisapru ma'asav berina," that these people not only yoidel Hashem chasda, not only they thank the Eibishter, but they bring a Korban Toida. So I'm not sure exactly why the lashon in the Torah is that Birchas Hagomel is in the place of Korban Toida, which means instead of a Korban Toida. Why would you say it's instead? They're simultaneously. They're both. It's the Yoidel Hashem Chaz, and also Yizbuchu Zivchei Toida. There were two takonas to make the bracha, and also there is the concept of bringing a Korban Toida. I don't know why it's the Mokim Toida taken, but okay, be it as it may, probably means when there is not instead of a Korban Toida, it probably means the Mokim Toida in the place where there's a Korban Toida, there is also a Birchas Hagomel. And don't tell me that doesn't make sense that every time a person goes from every time a person goes from Brooklyn to Connecticut, so he'll have to make a bracha v'goimel. Every sniffle he has to make a bracha v'goimel, because then you're going to tell me he has to also bring a Korban Toida. Every Yid is going to bring 5 times a Korban Toida every day in his life. L'chayda, the Ashkenazim have a good kasha here. The Chachmei Ashkenaz. What are the Chachmei Sfarad going to answer for this question? So I was thinking, what a kasha? So I said, let me look in the Rambam, Hilchas Korban Toida. That's not easy. There's no Hilchas Korban Toida. Safe. There's Ma'aseh Karbonos, Pshulam Magdoshim. I'm looking. I'm trying. I have my new fancy Oitza Chochmah here, Baruch Hashem. Even though I didn't get into the groove of using it fully. I'm looking here. I'm looking at the Minchas Chinuch and the Chinuch and the Shulchan Aruch. I'm back looking in the Chumash and where does the Rambam tell you the simple halacha? When are you chayiv to bring a Korban Toida? There is no such halacha. No such halacha. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking, I'm scratching my head. There is no such halacha. And I realized why. The Rambam holds that there is no obligation to bring a Korban Toida. Toida is a type of shlomim. Shlomim is, you can make a barbecue in your backyard. If you want, instead of a barbecue in your backyard, eating psad taiva, you can take your family and a tent, you go up to Yerushalayim, you buy a calf, you bring it up to the Harabais, you bring a Korban Shlomim, you eat the Shnei Layla Echad, you eat with Kedusha, you share it with the Eibishter. Shlomim is the share that the blood and the fat goes in the Mizbeach, and you and your family eat the meat. Beautiful. Within the Korban Shlomim, there's a specific Shlomim called a Toida. If you want to thank the Eibishter, you just get up one morning and you're in a good mood. Ribbon Shlom, wow, I'm healthy. My family is healthy. You know what, guys? Let's take a trip. We're packing up the car. We're taking it. Where are we going, Daddy? Going to Yerushalayim. I thought you said we're going camping. Yeah, we're going camping outside Yerushalayim. We're going to go camping, and I'm going to buy a calf, bringing it as and then we're going to have a barbecue. We're going to be there for 2 days. What kind of carbon? Shlomin. I'm going to bring a shlomin toida. I'm not going to bring a regular shlomin. I'm going to bring with the breads. The reason why one of the Rishonim said we have 3 matzahs is because there's 3 types of. There was 40 breads, but you could reduce it to 10. To each instead of 40, you could have 4. One was chametz, the other 3 were matzah. So that's it. There's no chiyuv, and that's why probably there's a gis issue. The Ramban says kol derech b'chacholi, not the Rambam, and all the poskim ask who read the Rambam, because the Rambam also holds that way. Obviously, if the Rambam held that korban toida was a chiyuv, the Rambam would have mentioned it in Hilchos Ma'aser Korbanos. So, let's summarize. The Ashkenazim hold that korban toida is an obligation. Therefore, they couldn't believe that it should be every sniffle. Kol derech v'chol choili. They should be chayiv to bring a korban toida. And even Rashi holds that way in Chumash. Rashi brings imal toida yakriben. What Rashi says, imal dvar hoido al neis shenas aloi Parsha tzav. Kidon yurda yam holchim and boris chamusha beis asor mechayel shenisrapa. The tzrichim lohoides, except yoida lashem chazde and the flois of livnei odom. V'yizbuch uzif chitoida. So the Rebbe says, what's bothering Rashi? So the Rebbe says, pshat. A child doesn't know. I don't understand. They didn't have the miracles every day. They had the man. They had the Be'er Miriam. So why didn't they bring a korban toida twice every day, every person? So Rashi says it's only for specific, very special nisim that happened. That's if you hold a korban toida is a chiyuv. If it's a chiyuv, but if you hold like the Chach Misvora, it's not a chiyuv. It's a sipur dvarim. Yoid l'shem chayis v'yizbuch uziv chaytoida. Whenever, if you want to bring for every sniffle kol derech v'chol choili, you want to bring korban toida, you can bring korban toida. And the same thing, Hagomel is that when there's a korban toida, there's a bracha Hagomel. Okay, now that we understand the foundation of this machloikis. Why is it that the Ashkenaz, they hold that it has to be only derech sheish besakona and choili sheish besakona, and the Sfora they hold kol derech v'chol choili, you say Hagomel. So now let's get back to the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch brings a halacha that's a machlokas fardim and Ashkenazim. Okay, but not even from this. But the Taz says any person that ended up in bed for 3 days. If you ended up in bed for 3 days, then you're chayiv to make the bracha Hagomel, even Ashkenazim. So look, the Mishnah Berurah says, I don't understand. And what's this concept of 3 days? He says, Iker dina, huve be'el yerabba b'shem ariel, da al-choyli shel kadach et tzorech l'marach. Asosom is a eze kadach, it's v'nida li, the tolib is a im seva k'machaber afilo b'kadach as a chalef, as a korim fever. Nami mevorech. If you held like the machaber any fever, you'd make a bracha Hagomel. In kadas and amayin and mevorech ela b'shitza meirta shekorim shoyderim. I don't know what shoyderim is. Singles. Kumashikotzav ataz, vuposhim, v'dad ataz kotzav al das ramo, do adina mutol b'mita yoysa megimel yomim, v'tuk achrenem, v'emes u'shashir zan nisker v'yoyre deya, hilchas bikar choylem, bikar shirachoyke em avakim alach gimel yomim, v'ayin shem b'bir agrosh, az mikra shchiv mira, I will call the any no can understand. What does it have to do with here? Shall the ramo dafke b'makol shel chol kai gavna v'imkein kamoy le'inyan lachal lo b'shabbos shem chachef lo nisker shem klal shir zeh the choyle gimel yomim elo the loishnor akol dovim u'make b'chol aguf oikadach shel shit tzmirta kai gavna the reif emru shem asukim kamoy gen hochem. Just like Shabbos, whenever it's a type any danger that you'd be machal Shabbos for, that's the type of danger. When you came out of that danger, you'd say Hagomel. That's it. I would add a very important nekuda. If a person's in danger, even a suffix, you would call hatzalah. If he comes to the hospital and they say, no, it's nothing. You okay. You do not machal Shabbos by calling hatzalah and by going to into the ambulance. But you wouldn't make a Hagomel if they came to the hospital and they told you it was nothing. It was a sniffle. It's for Ashkenazi. But that, it's like a gauge. If it's a type of thing you'd be machal Shabbos for, then when a person comes out of that danger, he would say Hagomel. He says, Vim yesh maka. So what is the idea of being sick 3 days? Who cares if it's 3 days or 6 days or 1 day? Vim yesh maka l'svaros urak shit zamachav shkol chilaf b'shem ezakon afal tekin demel mich lo lagarden bazev shalomer kol zedavke b'chil gimul yom doz tzarech labakosher sarachim v'lo kedum laze ach be'emes v'machaber mashmi lekol gavne tzarech lavarach kimen kaponim ala lamita. Maybe in the machaber you'd say when you go to bed, 15 minutes in bed, 3 days. According to the Machaber, that would be true. But even according to Machaber, it's mashman, even he was in bed for 1 day. He leaves it with tzorichin. He says, I don't understand. If you call like the Machaber, kol derech v'chol chayli makes a goimel, so he wouldn't have to be in bed for 3 days. And if you hold like the Ramah has to be that you only make a goimel when there's a sakona, when his life was in danger, so then, what's the difference if he was 3 days in bed, even if he wasn't in bed 3 days, or if he was there 6 days? So what's the difference? Is his life in danger or not in danger? He says maybe it was like a pshara, and I think that's really what it was. It was like a pshara. If you look in the Alter Rebbe, says, "Yesh emrim she'ein ha'choyle mavarich ela al choyle sheyesh boi sakona." Has to be a choyle that has a danger to his life. To go and makash al cholok yitzem chalom shemachal leinas hashabbos. If it's in the inner part of the body, or any type of sickness that you would be machal Shabbos for. If a person had that sickness, that's the type of sickness that you'd be machal Shabbos for, and he came out of it, so then he makes the bracha going l'maisa yesh limit. L'maisa yesh limit. The Alter Rebbe is using shorthand. In other words, there is another opinion that argues in that, and says even a it's not a sakon. The Alter Rebbe is saying like a pshora. What should you do? Anytime you're in bed more than 3 days, even if you are not going to be Machal Shabbos, any type of sickness, he was in bed for 3 days, he should make a bracha when he gets out of bed. If his life was in danger, he doesn't have to be in bed for 3 days. This is a derech pshora. Because even Ashkenazi poskim held like the Sfardim. The Bach says, no, Kol derech, Kol chayli, and the Magen Avraham brings it. Alter Rebbe made a kapshara. He accepted this idea of Taz, 3 days. There's something about 3 days. There's a Psagir and a Gemara. First, the Rabbi said don't tell anybody if I was sick. After 3 days, tell them about it. They should ask Rachamim. So there is such a thing of 3 days. There is such a concept of 3 days. So this is like a pshara. So the bottom line is, if a person that's Sfardi, so this person asked me, he blacked out, he blacked out, he fainted, and his wife called 911, and he also had a back pain. He was a Sfardi. And so for the back pain alone that he straightened out, he could make the Brocha Goimel. Blacking out for a moment, I'm not sure. It could be even Ashkenazi, because if his wife called 911, and it was on Shabbos, maybe even Ashkenazi would make a goimel coming out of that. But then you can argue, well, the Poil, when they came, he Baruch Hashem opened his eyes, and it turned out it wasn't a problem. So but he was a Sfardi, so he can make a goimel. It's not a problem. The shaila is all the coming out of this Corona situation. So anyone that's Ashkenazi, can you hear me? Parrots?
I hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm a mukta.
Okay, good.
But I can't see you.
You can't see me?
No. Oh, now I can see. Yeah, now.
You can see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for Ashkenazim, anyone that had the virus and Rahman al-Islam went to the hospital, or even just needed oxygen, there's no question that was a danger for their life. If anyone that was stuck in bed for 3 days, that makes Hagomel, there's no question about that. How about if you were not stuck in bed 3 days, but you had strong symptoms or you took the test? And also, what does it mean stuck in bed? What happens if he was sick for a week and he took the medication, say, but he was able to get out of bed, was able to daven shachris mincha ma'ariv. So the simplest eitzah is when someone else is mechuyev to make the bracha Hagomel, let him make the bracha and ask him to have you in mind, and you should say amen. I want to pick up next week from this nakuda about, and there's an unbelievable story about the Chassam Sofer in connection to this. I'll leave it a mitzvah for next week. Bottom line, Sfardim make a bracha Hagomel for any choili. So if a person had nebach, he could hardly walk, and his back, he had a back pain, and that straightened out, definitely make a Hagomel. And in general, for the coronavirus, if it's anyone, as Sfardi, if he tested positive and he had even symptoms of it, there's no shaila, he could make a Hagomel. For Ashkenazim, it has to be that either they needed oxygen, or because then the person's life was in danger, or they were mutal b'mita shloisha yom. If you're in doubt, put it on hold, because you could be yotze through someone else, and we'll talk about exactly how to do that in Mitzvah next week. Let's get to the next thing. Someone asked me
Rabbi, before you go to the next one, sure. I have two questions. Number one, why the Gomel is very, very important bracha. Why the Sfaradim and the Ashkenazim, at least on this, did not get together and make one for everyone? Because it's very important. That's number one.
That's what we're going to do. That's the plan. Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be a bezin that's going to convene. And everything is going to be redone. There's not going to be Sfardi and Ashkenazi. Then a couple of days, Mashiach is here. There'll be no more Sfardi Ashkenazi business. There's going to be...
Okay, and the second question, when the Rabbi in the Talmud made these four things to make Gomel, that time was only to go in the ships, only in the Yodei Hayam Ba'oniyot. Today we have plan. That's number two. And Yodei Hayam Ba'midbarot, when you go in the Midbar, they have listim, they have Chayot Ra'ot. Today you cross Avenue J, it's danger. So every place you go is a danger.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, but Lapoil, look, the truth is, it depends. These four things are the four things. So the truth is, we paskin that not only these four things. Anytime that a person's life was in danger, and he was saved, he makes if there was a chash sakonas nefashos, he makes a garment. But that's only if there's a chash sakonas nefashos. And these four things, this Varden actually do kol derech b'chol choyli. Okay. Someone asked, after we finished last week, someone asked a question that brought up basically an issue like this. In a lot of schools, the kids, you wash them neglavas in the house, they go on the bus to come to school. The last time there was a bus on school bus around there has been a long time. The Eibishter Halfen that Mitzvah next year we shouldn't know of any funny business, and the kids should be back on the school buses and back to school. So when the kids are going to go back to school, now this question could come up when the kids were home. There was no shayla. In the morning, the kids wash neglavasser, and liesas, especially by Chabad, there's a second neglavasser to make sure that you wash your hands good. So you wash your children neglavasser. After they wash neglavasser, they make the bracha al netilas yadayim. Right after netilas yadayim, if they're already a little older, they could say a little more. They make a bracha asher yotzar, and if they're even older, they make after asher yotzar a l'kain neshama, depending on the age. But already a child that's already 6, 7 years old can already make the bracha al netilas yadayim. You teach them al pi kabbalah. You pick up your hands. You dry your hands, and then you pick them up, and you say, Baruch Ato Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kedushanim v'mitzvos v'tzivon al netilas yadayim. There are schools where the kids come to school, and the Rebbe or the Mora, first thing, open up a siddur, and they say in school all the brochas, starting from Al Natilas Yadayim. But they didn't wash in school. They washed at home. They washed 1 hour ago. Could they still really, is it a bracha l'batala? Not a bracha l'batala. Could you still make a bracha, Al Natilas Yadayim, 1 hour after you? Well, let me ask like this. A mother is very busy, right? So you wash your children, Negel and then you get a phone call. This, you know, you have the siddur inside. As soon as I'll have time, I'm going to open the siddur. I'm going to say, Al Natilas Yadayim, Asher Yotzar, L'kai Neshama, the brachas. Right now I'm busy, so I'm going to wash Negel because I don't want to have even if I wash next to the bed, I don't want to have a suffix tum on my hand. I want to wash Negel good, dry my hands. I got busy for 10, 15 minutes. And when I'll have time, I'll open up the siddur and I'll say the bracha starting from Al Natilas Yadayim, and then Asher Yotzar and L'kai Neshama and so on, and all the brachas and Krishma. So I will pick up where I left off last week. I wasn't talking about this last week. Last week I was talking about a story with someone that wanted to go to the Koisel and say the bracha of Shnei Shabbos Kodesh an hour later. Say it not in the apartment. Say it at the Koisel. I'm not going to go back to what I dealt with last week, but just a general thing. There seems to be a shayla over here. Some Chazal usually say that that when you do a mitzvah, you have to make a bracha over l'asiyosem. Before you do the mitzvah, you have to make a bracha. And this is also the idea that we spoke about Sunday night last week, that the idea of the meraglim. The Yid has to, before he does a mitzvah, the Yid has to make the bracha of the mitzvah, to understand why am I doing the mitzvah, to understand the gewalt of the mitzvah, to understand Asher Keddushonu, that every mitzvah is a Kedusha, and every mitzvah is a tzavtza v'chibur with the Eibishter. To understand what is a mitzvah. We learned from the Meraglim that a person should never trust. You never could trust in yourself. And these were big tzaddikim. And look what happened to them. We find an interesting thing. By Kochem, the Chazal say, Shelo yomer Adam Lashem Oila. You shouldn't say Hashem's name first. You should say Oila, because Dilma Amar Lashem, V'la Korban. Maybe he's going to say Shem Shemaim Lamatola. So therefore, you should say Korban Lashem. But we're not choishish by a mitzvah. We say every mitzvah you should make the bracha after you do the mitzvah. You're safe. No, it's very important before you do a mitzvah that a yid accept upon himself el malchus shamayim nasa koydom lanishma. That a yid thinks about what the mitzvah is, and therefore Chazal said that every mitzvah over las yosem, before you do the mitzvah you have to make the bracha asher kedushanim mitzvahs v'tzigmon. Before you do the mitzvah you have to make the bracha. There's an exception of certain, like the Gemara says, in Daf, Zayin, and Psachim, and Aleph, and Brochos, that it's like when the ger goes to the mikveh, he can't make a bracha. He's a goy. How can a goy make a bracha before he goes to the mikveh? So they said, you know what? When you have no choice, some mitzvahs, if you can't make the bracha before the mitzvah, do the bracha after the mitzvah. We spoke about this last week on the Sunday night shir. Vanius Daiti, that they didn't give a specific thing. They said any mitzvah, when it's not shaykh to do before, you do it after. When it's not shaykh to do before, you do it after. Now, how much after? So we find in the Alter Rebbe a contradiction that in one place he says, since you can do after, you can do it much after. And the other says, you have to do it before. If you do after, you have to do right away after. It's like Chassidus says that seichel sometimes can go in two opposite ways. The Eibusha said, therefore, I'm going to make a mabel, I'm going to wipe him out. After the Mabel, David said, so what do you want? What can you expect from him? You know what? I'm going to make a thing, the rainbow, and that's going to be a sign there's never going to be a Mabel. So the same logic that said to have the Mabel said to never have the Mabel again. Sometimes the same logic could lead you in opposite directions. So here, in one place, the Alter Rebbe says, you know, if you have to make the bracha before. If you can't, you make it after. But right after Mamish. Another place, the Alter Rebbe says, no, once you make it after, you can make it 2 hours after. So which one is it? So it's interesting that in Hilchas Natilas Yadayim Shachar in the morning, the Alter Rebbe has a whole pilpul. The Alter Rebbe says, when you wash hands in the morning, you should make the bracha immediately. You should make the bracha right away. Alter Rebbe says you should make the bracha right away. Then the Alter Rebbe brings a second level, that there are people that their minig is that they make, or they say all the brachas, including Al Til Sedayim Mishul. So Alter Rebbe says, I'm not so happy about it, but that's their minig, and Alter Rebbe brings the reason why their minig is to do it that way. So, you know what? Go, right after you wash, go to shul, and don't make any hefsek. Don't make any hefsek. Don't learn in between, don't do any tefillah, don't say any tachanunim. Go to shul right after you wash your hands, and then open the siddur and make the brachas. Then the third and the lowest level, Alter Rebbe says, there are people, they go to shul and say, l'mashal, slichas. They say slichas, and then they open the siddur and they say the brachas, starting with Al Til Sedayim. The Alter Rebbe says that's very bad. That's very bad. Tzorech limchas biyodam. You have to be moicher. Noi loichas lasses kain. It's not the right thing to do. Then the Alter Rebbe says if they already said the bracha and they're saying it twice, that's a bracha levatala. It's mashma, if they're not saying it twice, they just said, washed at home, and they came to shul and they said tehillim, and then they said it's not noch and it's not right. But I can't say it's a bracha levatala. So we have three levels. The Alter Rebbe says, which is our minig, when you wash your hands immediately, and before you go to shul, open the siddur and say Al Til Sedayim, Asher Yotzal Kan Neshama, and everything. There is the minig of the oilam that they say it in shul. Alter Rebbe says at least wash your hands, go to shul, make no hefsek. Don't talk, don't say tehillim, don't say anything. As soon as you come to shul, open the siddur and say Al Til Sedayim and Birchas HaShachar. And then the third level is if you did make a hefsek, it's loy noch, and it's not right to anymore make the bracha Al Til Sedayim. But Alter Rebbe is not going to call it a bracha levatol unless you said it twice. That's a bracha levatol. So I see here in a Sefer Dervish Shalom from the librarian Rabbi Levin, who asks, so what do you make out of this? And he says it depends. If you already started the next thing, this is like the Alter Rebbe talks about. The Alter Rebbe talks about when a person washes his hands for bread. Once he says amoitzi, you can't make the bracha al Til Sedayim because you went into the whole thing of washing your hands, zachona to eat bread. Now you're ready, started eating bread. You can't make al Til Sedayim. You already started davening, but if you didn't start davening yet, and the whole thing of washing your hands is achona in order to go into the Beis Hamikdash to start, you avoid like a kohen. We spoke about it a few months ago. So as long as you didn't start davening yet, you could make the bracha. I'm not sure how he came up with such a thought. But the Alter Rebbe Befedish, when he talks about in brackets here in the Hilchos Til Sedayim, the Alter Rebbe says, "V'loy oid afilu loy hischil echel, loy shayich levarich ela miyad acher anatila, v'loy mufle, v'im hiflag afilu b'shutika, and afilu he didn't start eating, shuv einem avarich." Shaf shloy yochel levarich evelas yosay umuchrich levarich acher tach ein svara klal shochel levarich ela loylam ela miyad acher yosay. So I don't understand what he's saying. I don't understand what the Alter Rebbe is saying. Even if you didn't start the achila, even if you didn't have moitzi, there's no svara to say that you could make a hefsek. And if the Chazal said you make the bracha before, you have to make before. And if you can make it after, right away after, miyad. But if you made a hefsek even b'shika, you lost your bracha. So there's a very important cloud. The Alter Rebbe has things in Shulchan Aruch in brackets. It doesn't mean that it's a side point. It means that the Alter Rebbe wanted to rethink it. That's what we know as a Kabbalah from the brother of the Alter Rebbe. He wanted to rethink it. So I think that the Alter Rebbe didn't, and then the Alter Rebbe rewrote the Shulchan Aruch, which unfortunately got burnt, and we don't have the new Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe, the second edition. We only have the first four simana of the second edition of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. I think the Alter Rebbe was maybe mesupik about this. Like I said, Yetzer Leiva Adam Aram Onurav. You could have opposite svaras. You could say Chazal said had bracha like the Meraglim. Before you go into Eretz Yisrael, you have to bring the fruits of Eretz Yisrael to see how geschmack it is. But Moshe Rabbeinu says the Sheilos is not if we can go. For sure we can go. The Sheilos is how we should go, and the Sheilos is how delicious the fruits of Eretz Yisrael are. So before a Yid gets a shlichus in life, the Sheilos is not if we could do it. For sure we could do it. Sheilos is how we're going to do it. That's the job of the Meraglim. And not only how we're going to do it, before we do the mitzvah, we have to think about the gewalt and the geschmack. The prior, it's how geschmack the mitzvah is. Asher Kedushonu, it's Kedusha, the mitzvah, it's Taftzah, V'chibur. And we have to make the bracha before Overlas Yosem, before the mitzvah. It says, Overlas Yosem means that the Oir Makif is nimshach into the mitzvah through the bracha. So if you can't make it before, Chazal said any mitzvah you can't make it before, you'll make it after. So the Alter Rebbe had opposite svaras. Or you could do one thing, okay, you can't make it before, you do miyad. Another svar is, once you already said, even the itchi, you can pray 2 hours later. The Alter Rebbe was masupik about it. Lamaisa, the Alter Rebbe holds, in Seder Netilas Yadayim, the Alter Rebbe writes that you should make the bracha right after you wash your hands for bread. You should make it. The Alter Rebbe doesn't say the Elvid if you made it later what you should do. But the Alter Rebbe Lamaisa, this is the last thing we know from the Alter Rebbe that the Alter Rebbe wrote in Ziknusay, the Siddur. He wrote in Hilchas Netilas Yadayim that when you make when you wash your hands for bread, you should be toikef right away. I think it's in Sifhei or Bob. Alter Rebbe says right away you should say the bracha al Netilas Yadayim. Gleich. Okay, so. That's the bottom line. The Alter Rebbe wants you should do it. The Alter Rebbe brings it's Halacha Hey in Seder Netilas Yadayim. Ein loy me'esa kapay. There's those that have a special minhag. They say after they wash their hands, esa kapay. Ein lahafsik ben netila lebracha klal uklal. V'tzorich l'tokvam b'chol ma de'efsher. You should try to make it as soon as possible. Tzorich l'tokvam b'chol ma de'efsher. And the Rebbe the Rebbe wrote a pirush on it's called Toras Menachem. It was out of print. I think recently it came back into print. On Seder Netilas Yadayim and Hilcha and it's a very little known sefer from the Rebbe because the Rebbe started writing it and the Rebbe never got a chance to finish it, and it was like in the Rishimis, it was there for years, but there's a lot of chidushim there, and especially in the part of Seder Netilas Yadayim. And these words the Rebbe says, look in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Simon Kuf Nun Ches. Why in Simon Kuf Nun Ches? So there the Alter Rebbe, you see that Alter Rebbe was mesupek that could be even if you wait a short time you lost the bracha. Therefore, lamais. I would never say that the person, even if it's 2 hours later, I wouldn't say it's a bracha labatala, but any mitzvah that you have to make the bracha before, if you can make it after, you have to make it right after. Netilas Yadayim in the morning, Netilas Yadayim l'seuda, Neidah Shabbos Kodesh, anything. Lamaisa, when you wash your hands in the morning, a person should try immediately to make the bracha al Netilas Yadayim, and Ashiyotza should go right afterwards, and Al-Kain Shama should go right afterwards. And if you're busy, then you can close the siddur, and the rest of the brachas you'll say 15 or 20 minutes later. But you should write you should make the bracha right after Netilas Yadayim. And the Rabbi Levin writes that based on his chiddush, that's why it makes sense that the kids wash their hands at home and they go on the bus and they come to school and they say, I don't understand based on what chiddush. I mean, what is he talking about? The Alter Rebbe said befedish, you should not do it. I don't understand what he's talking about. Maybe it's not a bracha levatala, but the Alter Rebbe says not to do it. You can't say what did they do in the cheder. It's not nishken raya. We don't know what they did. My Zayda, his father sent him to Neville to learn with his brother Herschel. Nebuch, his brother, passed away because he got a cold, and his parents were not there, and Nebuch, he passed away. When we were living in the Bronx, my Zayda said, "Don't send your kids to Crown Heights." I remember my brother Herschel. He started crying. He said, "Don't send your kids to Crown Heights. Send them locally." We sent our kids. We sent them to a school called Bet Jacob at Miriam. But anyway, my Zaydi described how he was a kid, and his parents lived in Petersburg, and they sent him to Neville, and he learned in his Malamed's house. And at night, the Malamed would take the two benches and put it together and put a blanket over it, and he would sleep. In the morning, he'd get up, and he would help the Malamed. They put the bench, the two benches, and the table in between, and they started learning. Anyway, so if they can't teach the kids the wrong thing, the Alter Rebbe says that you have to make the bracha right after Netilas Yadayim. You have to teach the kids the right thing. Now, there are some schools where they tell the kids to go wash their hands again, because they do this at like sort of a second negelvasa. That makes sense. If you're going to have the kids wash in school, and afterwards right away say Netilas Yadayim, Pajalista. That's good. That's good. So let's summarize our second nakuda that we just spoke about, the second child. According to the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe seems to be mesupek. Anytime there's a bracha for mitzvah, you must make it before. If Chazal said you could make it after because you couldn't make it before, doesn't mean that you must do it miyad, or you could do it ein vuladavar, you could do it even 2 hours later. Lamaisa, Alter Rebbe says that Torah will talk from B'chol Mad'efsher. Therefore, in the morning, the best eitzah is that in the morning, that when you wash Negelwasser, you shouldn't delay. Even if you don't have time to say the whole brochas, at least Al Natilas Yadayim and Ashiyotz Al Kain Neshama, you should say immediately. At least Lechatchila. A third thing, just to keep it just an interesting thing. Someone asked me, Haytochen, I sent out a thing Erev Shabbos. We sent it out after Shabbos to defund the police. To defund. I spoke about the word that Shmulik mentioned, Shoftim v'Shotim Titn Lacha B'chol Sharecha, and the Rebbe brings in Tafshin and Aleph from the Sicha that it says Shiva Sheftayich B'Rishonim Yitzayich B'Tchila. It says the Novi says it in Yishai, and that's what we say also in Shmonesa Shiva Shefteinu K'V'Yitzainu. So the Rebbe says that Agam the Medrash says it mean shoyter ain't shofet. That if there's no shoyter, there's no shofet, because what's the difference that the judge is going to say? If there's no police in the street, there's anarchy. But Mashiach will come. Everyone's going to believe in Tzedek v'Yosher, even the Goyim. They'll know that there's iron oil, so who needs to have a shoyter? We don't need a police. We're not going to have police. We're going to have yoyatzin. A person wants to be more honest, have better integrity. A person wants to be a better person. They're not going to be police stations. The police stations are going to be called the mashpia stations. No more police stations, mashpia stations. There's going to be desks, and all the police, instead of wearing these uniforms and guns and clubs, they're going to be wearing a suit. And they're going to have a Ayin Beis on the table and a Samach Vav on the table and a Tanya on the table, a Tanya Kadisha, and the person's going to come in. They're going to be counselors, guidance counselors. They're going to be whatever you're going to call them. Mentors, you're going to call them. They're not going to be in police anymore. They're going to be spiritual mentors. Yoyetzim. And that's because the Indian is not shoyted. The mitzvah is not, I have a police with a gun. The mitzvah is they should have people that will help the oilam follow what the shoftim say. So Mashiach will come, and not going to be a shoftim, they're going to be a yoyetz. And that's why in Shmonesa we ask him for days of Mashiach. We're not asking for shoftim. We're not asking to go back to the old norm. We want the new norm. So obviously the clowns today, they're saying to defund the police. That's wrong. That's not what I meant when I wrote. I would suggest the person that is upset that I wrote a drosha, the case for defunding police, should actually listen to what I have to say. What I said is that if, amidst Hashem, the public schools will follow through when Mashiach Tzidkenu will come. Not if, when. Mashiach Tzidkenu will come, and the chinuch, the education in America will be that there's a Rabboni Shalom and kol hanivrel b'shmi l'chvoidi b'rosav yitzarti v'afasisiv, that the Eibishter created everything l'chvoidoi, and therefore that doesn't help to steal, and no one wants to steal. So we're not going to need, that's the Indian, we're going to defund the police. We're going to defund the police. And then the Navi said that. The Navi said that the guns will be turned into plowships. So what's the taina? Whoever had this taina me, I would suggest that they should listen to the shir in its entirety. But since we're already on the issue, so a very Geshemaka Indian, I just want to about what is its statistics al pi Torah. A very beautiful, beautiful word from the Rebbe. From the Rebbe in Sikh in Parsha Shlach, Tafshin Lamed Beis. The Rebbe says that we find that the Eibishter says, they're going to come into Eretz Yisrael. They're going to aim Yeshua. Before I continue, I just want to make it clear that I answered my question here. When I sent out a drosha, the case for defunding the police, I didn't mean that we're going to have people in America educated like the education today in the public school, Ganovim, Gazlonim, Ratzchonim, and we're going to have anarchy in the street. I meant that we'll have B'yis Mashiach Tzidkenu. And then, Verstetzach, once we have Mashiach, we're not going to have Shoftim and Shoitrim, we're going to have Shoftim and Yoyetzim. We're going to defund the police. But don't worry, the police are not going to lose their job. They're going to get a totally new training in how to be spiritual mentors And the Mitzvah Shem, we're going to have, Chabad is going to set up, the JLI is going to set up special courses for the police, and the Chas v'Shalom, the police are not going to lose the job. Fear not. Not only we're not going to fire people from the police force, we're going to add, we're going to need more spiritual counselors than ever. And the police stations will become Ashpia stations. So don't worry, I'm not saying Chas v'Shalom that we should have anarchy. I'm saying we need Mashiach Tzidkenu, and then we're going to defund the clubs and the guns and the sirens, and instead the police will be retrained to be spiritual guidance counselors. Okay, I just since we're already on this, I get to finish with a Geshmak and a Kuda connected to this week's Parsha. The Eibishter says that the Yidden complained that their children Tapenu Yulavaz Tapchem Hashemarta Lavaz, they're going to come into Eretz Yisrael. V'hem Yereshua. The Rebbe asked a question, L'choida, that's against Bechira Chavshis. Maybe they're going to sin just like their parents. How does the Eibishter know? We say Tzadik V'Rosha Loi Ka'amar. If the Eibishter is going to say someone's a Tzadik or Rosha, then he has no choice. Therefore, the Eibishter doesn't say Tzadik V'Rosha Loi Ka'amar. He doesn't say it. How could we say the Eibishter says, he promises that Tapchem Asher Lavaz, they're going to come into Eretz Yisrael? How could the Eibishter say such a thing? The Rebbe said a beautiful, just a shot, but it's just unbelievable thing. The Rebbe said that we find that people think that in this century we have unbelievable inventions. That the human brain came up with unbelievable things. And sometimes you look at the Torah and you see that's a Pashat, a Pshat, a Chumash in Rashi, a Rambam, a Posek in Chumash. In this century, one of the big there is a concept of statistics. There's multi-billion-dollar industry. We have actuarians that are working in it, and pollsters, and there's a concept of statistics that there are studies that will show statistically how many people are going to come out alive from this corona, how many people are going to die in this country, in that country. Insurance companies, are going to work a lot with statistics. There's statistics that will show you certain things, and how much crime is going to be in this country. Statistics, something very strong that we work with today. The Rebbe says we're very proud that this century came up with this idea of statistics. But any Yid that learns Chumash Rashi and a little bit of Rambam knows that statistics didn't start in this century. The Rambam says in Hilchos Tshuva Perek Vav, Aloiksiv b'Torah v'Avodam v'inu oisam harei gozer ala mitzirim la'asas hara. So l'chayda, why did the Eibishter punish them? Why did the Eibishter punish them? The answer, L'fi shelegozer al ish ploini hayadu shehu yeh azoin. Elokol echad ve'echad moisim azoinim shavda v'dezori ilu lo yirotz alav lo yoyov. V'lo yediya boyre ela min hagi shaloylam. Hala moze doimer lo oimer ha'om hazeh yeh ben tzadikim v'reshayim. Lo mipnei zeh yoimer ha'rosh kvar nigzer alav sheyeh rosh. Mipnei sheyediya kadosh baruch hu b'moishe sheyeh reshayim b'Yisrael. Kinyan shalemer kol hayagdal evel mekerev ha'aretz. V'chein ha'mitzrim kol echad ve'echad moisim mitzrim ha'mitzirim v'amirim l'Yisrael ilu lo yirotz alahara ha'shuz b'yodin shaloi gozer al ish yadua elo yediya shesoiv zayr l'ishtabed ba'aretz lo lahem. It was statistics, says the Rambam. The Eibishter said there's going to be the Shoyim here, and they're going to enslave the Jews. We can't. A German's going to say, "It wasn't me. You had the Bechira Chavshis yourself. Every mitzvah had Bechira. Yeah, it was enticing to get free slaves. It was very enticing. Talk to the cotton growers in the South. It was very enticing to get free slavery. But it doesn't mean it was right because it was free. It doesn't mean it was right because it was done. It was not right. And you had the Bechira. The fact that the Eibishter said that the statistics says on the cloud, the statistics are not forcing the Yochid what to do or what not to do. The statistics says on the cloud, not on the Yochid. The same thing here. The Eibishter said, knowing, and this is if you look at the message that I sent out Shabbos, that knowing the children that they're going to rebel against their parents' rotten chinuch in a positive rebellion, and a positive rebellion. So the Eibusha says, knowing this, I can predict that they're going to all be tzaddikim and are going to go into Eretz Yisrael. But we never took away the bechidas yachofshus of yechidim. Yechidim they have the choice. Every person has bechira chofshus. Without bechira chofshus, there's no such a thing as reward and punishment. So let's summarize what we had today. 3 Sheilos. One is about a Hagomel. The Sfardim make kol derech v'chol chayli. The Ashkenazim make only when there's a sakona, and a sakona for a person's life. The Alter Rebbe holds like the Taz that there's a pshora. If the person was in bed for 3 days, even if there wasn't sakonas chaim, he makes a Hagomel. Those that had corona and the Rahman al-Islam needed oxygen or so on, they definitely make a Hagomel. Those that were stuck in bed for a week or so definitely make a Hagomel. And everyone else will, Amit Hashem, pick up with the story of the Chassam Sofer next week. And the second question is about making the bracha al natilas yadayim and the brachas in the morning. Definitely, according to the Alter Rebbe, they should open the siddur right away. Don't get busy in anything, phone calls, nothing. Do it right away, at least al natilas yadayim, asher yotza, and al kain hashama. The third question is about defunding police. That I will not retract what I said. Definitely now, we don't want anarchy, but the ultimate goal is to have bias Mashiach Tzidkenu. And don't worry, Mr. The Rabbi who asked the question, your buddies, the police will not lose their job. They're just going to get a retraining. And Amir Hashem, the Eibusha should be the Korach of this week, Gimel Tammuz, the final should see, Shiva, Shektenik, Barishonim, Yetzenu, Kevatchila, the bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, take it from Yad Mamash.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Amir Hashem, we're going to learn a Sikha 8:30 to 9:30. Then we're going to have a Fabrengen. If the Olam wants, we could do the Fabrengen in the shul. And then we'll go from the shul to the oil. Shmulik, what do you think? So, son, what do you think?
I'm okay with that.
I think it's
Peretz, what do you think?
With the shul.
Huh?
We should also try to daven Marv with the shul before we go.
Yeah, we should try to daven Maidav. Maybe we should do it. What time could we daven Maidav? Maybe we should do between the Shir and the Fabrengen, or maybe after the Fabrengen.
Anytime after, what was it, Skias, was 8:20, 8:30-ish?
I think after, we should have the Shir back to back. We have the Shir and then the Fabrengen, and then we'll daven Maidav, and those that want to go to the oil will go to the oil. Those that are going home.
Anytime after 9:15, probably. So 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but I think we should daven Maidav at 10:15. We'll have 8:30 as the Shir. Right after the Shir, we'll make L'chaim. We'll just have mashkin and maybe a package of cookies. We don't have to have fancy, what's it called? The main thing is that we're going to go afterwards to the oil, those that want. And the main thing is, Mitzvah Shem, that we'll have a service in starting our preparations for our Gimel Tammuz.
So 8:30 is the shul in the shul.
Yes. We'll ask Parrots and Yoel to send out a message. 8:30 is we're learning a Sikha, the Rebbe. 9:30 is a Fabrengen. 10:15 is Maidav. 10:30 we're going to the oil.
All the shul?
Whoever wants to go. I have a van that fits 12. I'm sure we're not going to. My van is not going to get filled up.
It's going to be
people as of now told me they want to come, so there's plenty of room. Anyone that's not coming is welcome to give me their name and write up a pan and Gesundheit. I'll bring it to the oil.
We have to write the kvittel before, right?
Yes, you have to write the kvittel before and bring slippers with you because they might not have over there the non-leather. Put on sneakers, non-leather shoes before.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. See you tonight.
Amen.
Hashem Yisbarach.
Amen. Thank you.
Yishkoyach everyone for joining.